Hey everyone, so I thought we'd talk a little bit about infinite depth and how you can use it to your advantage inside ZBrush. So the first thing, we'll go to our preferences menu, and under config here we'll turn on enable customize, which allows us to put some things on our interface. If we go over now to the geometry roll up, underneath modify topology, we can, using Control and Alt and left clicking, we can drag this onto our interface. I'm only going to do this because it's a lot more convenient than hopping around the interface to show to demonstrate what we're going to look at here. The next thing we're going to do is go to the brush menu, and under depth we're going to hold Control and Alt again and grab our infinite depth and put that over beside that. And the last thing is we'll go to our transform menu and we'll turn on activate symmetry and grab the X, Y and Z axes, and we'll put them up here as well. So we have all of these things on our interface now, so we can turn off enable customize, and if we want this the next time we start up ZBrush, we just hit store config. So what I wanted to show is that I have a cube here in the center of the world. It's a very simple cube. There's literally nothing else going on with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror and weld this on the X axis, because I'm looking from the front. X is left and right, Y is up and down, and Z is depth. So if I mirror this on the X axis, we're going to get this split down the middle. This means now that I can hold down Control and Alt and I can select this face here, and it will select it on the other face as well. So with that selected, I can now press W, and if I go to the unmasked mesh center, I can just hold down Control and start dragging out faces here. I can rotate without Control just to change this. Holding Control and rotating won't actually do anything, it will still only rotate. But holding Control and move, this is screen space, these white squares here. So we can start making a shape from this by just holding Control and dragging out as often as we need. So that's one way to create a shape like that, but you might decide at some stage that with your symmetry turned on, that you've turned off your Z symmetry for whatever reason. You've changed to a ZModeller brush, BZM, and maybe you've made a change such as changing from QMesh to inset. Maybe you've inset something here and then you've QMeshed this out, and then you've realized, oh, I wanted that change on the other side. So I'm just going to hit mirror and weld on the Z axis. Sorry, mirror and weld on the Z axis. So you turn this on, and that will mirror and weld on the Z axis. But you see it also added a loop into the center here. So this doesn't seem to be a problem. You can still keep on working away. And you decide you're going to change to a move brush, BMV. And at this stage now you'd like to move this point up here. And because you've got symmetry on, it's going to do the Z axis and the X axis. If this wasn't on, and I was to just, from this view, decide to start making some changes here, I'm only going to be making that side there. If I have the Z axis turned on and I do the same thing, you can see it's going to do both sides, but this new part in the middle is not going to get done. So we could remove that and add it in again, and that would do a job for us. But an easier way to do this is to use this infinite depth. So because Z axis is backwards, or forwards and backwards in 3D space, if I turn on infinite depth for this brush, and it's only on for this brush, now I can move these points, and when I look, you'll see all of the center points are moving with it. It's basically moving all points along the Z axis here. So we can very quickly now start changing this shape into whatever shape suits us and that we're particularly looking for. So it's a great way to just kind of start playing around with silhouettes and knowing that you don't have to worry about the fact that you maybe have extra edges along the inside of your mesh in here. As well as that, if I do turn off symmetry altogether, and I'm just going to reset this by holding the Alt and clicking on this to reset the gizmo. If I move this forward in space like this, and then we decide to activate symmetry, or even just hit mirror and weld with the Z axis, that's going to look at this as the center of the world, and it's going to mirror that on the Z axis. So with symmetry turned on for both, we can move these backwards and forwards, but we now have two separate different objects. So if I didn't have infinite depth turned on for my move tool, and I just move this, and I think, well, I have symmetry turned on, I've now lost both the inner and outer parts of both of these objects that aren't actually getting moved. So all the more important now to turn on infinite depth and know that this is going to affect both all the way through, even though they're separate objects as such, or appear to be separate objects. So one thing to note is that if you do change over to your ZModeller tool, BZM, the default when you hover over a point is to move by brush radius. So if I do this and I move, I'm only going to move one point, even if symmetry is turned on. So turning on infinite depth here does nothing. It won't actually work with the ZModeller brush, unfortunately. So what they've done is they've actually changed it and put it into the target here. So in here in the target you can say I want infinite depth or infinite Z, whatever. So if I turn on infinite Z, now this will work for this brush as well, and it'll grab all of those points. If I turn on infinite depth, the same thing happens. You'll go through all of this. So yeah, I hope this tip helps, and if you have other ways that you use it yourself for other things, please do let me know. I'd be very interested in seeing how people use this. This for me is the way I use it, just to get rid of any problems with meshes on the inside that I don't have to worry about them anymore. So I literally put this on my interface so I can just turn it off. Do remember it's brush sensitive. There's no point having it on for the ZModeller brush, but if I go back to my Move brush, it's on. But if I now change to Move Topological, for example, it will be off. So you'd have to turn it on per brush, and to remember to do that when you're using it. Sometimes as well you can actually run into problems that you forget to turn it off, so bear in mind this is another visual indicator that it's on, and it can be helpful to see. Alright, see you then. Cheers. Bye.